Hey, Cub fans! Thanks for joining us here on Cubs 24/7, where Randy talks Cubs with delight and unwavering optimism. Today we're going to talk about a Cub closer that was really very special in a lot of ways, Bruce Sutter. And one of the things that makes him interesting is he fits into a category. And I was going to share this with you. It's a category that pops into my mind where it's a pitcher and a pitch. Like, is there one pitch that when you hear the pitch, you think of a name? And I just came up with a quick list. You guys can maybe come up with more and put them down in the comments. That'd be great. We'll go Rivera's cutter, Barry Zito's curveball, maybe Aroldis Chapman's fastball, the knuckleballers, Wakefield, Necro, Mike Mussina's knuckle curve. Bert Hooton had one too, maybe the original knuckle curve for me. Brandon Webb's sinker, Trevor Hoffman's changeup, and if you want to have some fun with it, maybe Gaylord Perry's spitball, right? Pitches that are sort of connected with a pitcher, and I don't know what the numbers are. I didn't really get into it deep enough to give it to you, but Rivera's cutter, what did he throw that? 90% of the time? 95? I mean, that's what he did. Well, Bruce Sutter had the same thing. Bruce Sutter's splitter. And Bruce had a splitter. It's devastating. And we'll talk about that splitter, how it came to be. But Bruce Sutter was a closer that had this splitter that was just devastating. And I'm going to talk more about that pitch later, but just sort of not a one-pitch wonder, but a guy who really, that was the only pitch that he had, and he rode that to a Hall of Fame career. And I want to talk about that Hall of Fame career. So let's kick back. Let's talk a little Howard Bruce Sutter. Yeah, his first name is actually Howard. So I learned that here recently myself. Never heard it before. So let's kick back, relax. Let's talk a little bit Bruce Sutter. Bruce Sutter was born in January of 1953, and I don't know if you're aware, but Bruce died, unfortunately, October of 2022. So Bruce had a really kind of a short career. He was injured, and we'll talk about the injuries and how that played into a splitter. But Bruce had kind of a short career. He played in 12 seasons officially, 12 seasons in 13 years. He missed the 87 season with an injury. He never came back in it. He played a little bit. He wasn't right. And so he played in 12 seasons in 13 years. But Bruce really only had, in my opinion, a good 10 years in terms of his career. Boy, he made the most out of those 10 years. In those 10 years, he'd racked up some records. Bruce is a Hall of Famer, a Cy Young Award winner, a 6-time All-Star. He won a World Series with the Cardinals in '82. He was the Rolaids Relief Award winner 4 times. And just a really good player. He got MVP votes. MVP votes, I think, in like 6 seasons. So it ranged from 5 up to 20. But Cy Young, MVP votes, 6-time All-Star, Hall of Famer, 4 times Rolaids Relief. Just a really tremendous resume, especially when you consider it was just those 10 years that he had. Let's walk through his career numbers. He had a 24 WAR. His career ERA is sub-3. It's 2.83. He finished his career with 300 saves, pitched a total of 1,042 innings, had a whip of 1.14 career. He played for the Cubs early in his career from 76 to 80. Then he was a Cardinal from 81 to 84, and then finished his career late with the Braves. But he had a really good year in a short span. His career against numbers are really good too. His opponents hit .230 against him with a .288 on base percentage, and their OPS was .628 OPS. So his career against numbers are really good. And played for the Cubs from 76 to 80, and he racked up some really good numbers. In fact, his numbers were the best with the Cubs compared to the others. But with the Cubs, he went 32-30. He had an ERA of 2.39 in his 6 years with the Cubs. He had 133 saves with a just over a 1 whip at 1.055. And one of the things that makes that really incredible is he was with the Cubs when the Cubs were pretty bad. During the Cubs' tenure with Bruce in 76-80, Cubs went 379 and 431, so they were 52 games under 500 during Bruce's stint with them. But even so, Bruce was able to accumulate those numbers. So imagine if he had played with a team during that time period that gave him more save opportunities. So Bruce really was good. In fact, during that time period, Bruce was probably our MVP. He was lights out closer. I remember some of the fans would have shirts that says Sutter saves. And that's the other thing. It's pronounced Sutter, even though it looks and is spelled like Sutter, Sutter, but it is definitely pronounced Sutter. So it's Howard Bruce Sutter. Not a good hitter was Howard Bruce Sutter. I found that I don't really talk pitchers' hitting numbers because we don't care. But I happened on it. It's kind of interesting to look at. Bruce in his career had 9 hits. No homers. He hit .088 with a 241 OPS. So needless to say, Bruce made his living on the mound. Bruce's postseason numbers were really good. In 82, he won a World Series championship with the Cardinals, and Bruce had a phenomenal series. So his postseason record just consists of that 1 year in 82 with the Cardinals. He went 2-0 during that postseason. He pitched in all 6 games. He had a 3 ERA, had 3 saves, but he finished all 6 games. So in that Cardinal run to the World Series in 82, Bruce Sutter finished every game, and he had a 0.75 whip. So Bruce really was phenomenal during his limited postseason work. Phenomenal career. To me, one of the first, if not in my head, I don't know, I'd have to really think about it, but he might have been the first closer that you felt like when he came in, game was over. When Bruce came in, it was a done deal, and he was pretty special. So Bruce Sutter. So let's talk about his early life. He grew up in Pennsylvania, like most. He's a 3-sport star, quarterback, a great basketball player, and played on a championship basketball team in high school. And, of course, he was a tremendous baseball player. He got drafted in 1970, drafted by the Washington Senators, 1970, but he was only drafted in the 21st round. So I guess that didn't entice him. So he turned that down, ends up going to Old Dominion University. But he was only there a short period of time. He left. So Bruce leaves Old Dominion University and ends up just playing semi-pro ball. Just decided to just go play in the independent semi-pro league, which he did. And that's where he was scouted and signed by Cub Scout Ralph DeLulo. And they signed Bruce in 1971 as an undrafted free agent. So they signed Bruce. He gets started, and off he goes. He pitched a couple games for the Gulf Coast League Cubs in 72. And then he was on his way. Bruce was really good. But at 19, he needed surgery. Bruce had gotten some pinched nerve problems in his arm, and he needed surgery on that pinched nerve. Well, it took him a year to recover, and then when he came back from that surgery, he had lost it. He described it as the pitches that he used to get to where he was were no longer effective. So he was thinking he may be done. It was like, it was really a quandary for him. And then the splitter shows up. The splitter was taught to Bruce by a Cub Instructional League pitching instructor named Fred Martin. Fred taught Bruce Sutter the splitter out of necessity. They were just trying to find something that they could salvage Bruce's career, because it looked like it had ended before it even got started. So they're working on this splitter. And it really is a true splitter. It's not a fork. He's not on the side of the baseball. In fact, that's why I put a picture of it in the thumbnail so you could kind of see it. It's a true splitter, not a fork. And the way it came out of his hand really caused it to just tumble. And I can describe the pitch for you from a fan's perspective. And what Bruce would do is he didn't throw it hard. See, Bruce didn't throw hard. I don't even know what Bruce maxed out in terms of his fastball was, but Bruce didn't throw hard. But his splitter came out of his hand looking like a fastball, and it looked like a knee-high strike, and it looked very hittable. So, but it would get to the home plate and then just dive, just drop, just fall right off the table. I mean, this thing just got 5-6 feet from the plate and then goes south. And that's what he pitched with. He led with that. So the hitters were in a dilemma. They're like, well, it looks like a strike out of his hands. It looks very hittable, and then it drops, and it just buries. And they can't believe that it buries. So it drops so late, they just couldn't believe it. And so you'd get 2 or 3 of those, and then next thing you know, Bruce would throw this low 90s heater knee-high out of his hand, and you figure it's a splitter. You take it, and it rings you up for strike 3. That's pretty much how Bruce got people out. A splitter that left his hand looking like a strike at the knees and then dropped and buried. It bounced. Made people look ridiculous. And then as soon as you adjusted that, he'll sneak that little fastball in. And that's pretty much how Bruce Sutter did it. He was a splitter. You got to figure out how to hit the splitter. If he got the splitter up and it looked like it was, ball high, it would drop in for a strike too. But he didn't want it really up. He was burying it, and that's pretty much when I close my eyes and I picture Bruce Sutter throwing a pitch. I picture a fastball looking pitch out of his hand, knee high strike. It's not out of the zone. It's a strike to ball pitch, and that splitter was just devastating. Well, so he learns his pitch, and Mike Krukow, who was in camp with him at the time, saw him throw this pitch. Mike Krukow predicted that. He saw the pitch, and he goes, they're not going to be able to hit that pitch. He's like, that's it. So everybody was trying to learn to throw that splitter in camp. Nobody could. So for whatever reason, Bruce had a knack for it, and it was just a phenomenal pitch. I've never really seen anybody throw that true splitter like that. A lot of the guys with the circle changes, how they dive in, but that pitch was very unique. Hitters couldn't deal with it, couldn't see it, and Bruce could command it. So Bruce Sutter, to me, is on the list of guys who was one-pitch guy because he wasn't going to get you out with heat. He had a curveball, but it wasn't good. He had a splitter. It was devastating. So he rolled that splitter to Hall of Fame career, and he was a really good Cub at a time when the Cubs really didn't give Bruce much help. It wasn't his fault. Bruce actually had an immaculate inning in 1977, September 8th, 1977. He strikes out the side in the 8th. Back then, too, Bruce would throw multiple innings. Wasn't really like today where he'd come in the 9th. Bruce would come in and he would throw, he'd come in the 8th, sometimes in the 7th. But in 77, he had an immaculate inning in the 9th inning. It struck out the side in the 8th and followed it up in the 9th with an immaculate inning. And at that time, that was the first one of those. So he was traded to the Cardinals. Now, this is something that I'm going to pick up on in another video. But Bruce Sutter was traded to the Cardinals at a time when the Cubs were rebuilding. They didn't have much. And the Cardinals were up and coming. They were kind of on the upswing. So in December of 1980, they traded Bruce to the Cardinals for Ken Wrights and Leon Durham. And what's interesting about that is that's going to come back. That's got a lot of Cub feel. So Bruce was with us early in his career for those 5 years, but the trade and sort of what happened, it was sort of very impactful to what the Cubs did in '84, and we'll talk more about that. He finished his career with the Braves, but he was never right. Ended up missing the '87 season, had rotator cuff surgery in 1989, and that was it. So had he stayed healthy, because the splitter, it wasn't that demanding on his arm. And I was kind of surprised that he didn't hold on, but in that short, brief career, Bruce Sutter was pretty lights out and a really good Cub. And I was sad when he died in 2022 because Bruce was a good guy, and I really enjoyed watching him pitch. Boy, he was lights out. So that's Bruce Sutter. Now, be looking for the video that I'm going to be doing here very shortly on the Sandberg game in '84, and Bruce was a big part of that. So that video, I'm thinking I'm going to title it something like "The Day That Ryne Sandberg Became Rhino." That was a very, very big day, and Bruce was part of it. And I think it's a very interesting story, and I'm going to tell that story in an upcoming video, so you can be looking for that. All right, Cub fans, I'll see you very soon. In the meantime, go Cubs go.